Hi, welcome to Life Integrated Therapies. Today, we're back at Just Be Wellness Center. We have an amazing podcast for you. We're going to meet Daniela. Daniela is a master of the ancient art of Ebru. So Ebru is water painting, the ancient art of Turkish water painting. So let's literally dive right into the water, paint, colors, creation, and let's go meet Daniela. Hi, Daniela.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us for the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with talking about how did you get into this ancient mystical art of Ebru?
So it all started with a trip to Istanbul in 2014.
Okay.
And I saw the art live, and I was absolutely and utterly mesmerized with this type of art. It was magical. And after that day, I could not stop thinking about it. I wanted to know everything there was to this type of art. So my journey began there.
Well, I had a similar experience when I took the course with you 2 weeks ago. I was just I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was just so magical. And the fact that it's done on water, like how does that make you feel? Like the emotions and the...
Yes. So when you paint on water, when you tell people you paint on water, they think how a paint would sink to the bottom of the tray, or how do you make something permanent when it is done on water? Because water is fluid.
Right.
It's like our emotions. Yes, they're fluid. How do we, in terms of impermanence versus permanence, how can we convert something that we've made and transfer it onto a sheet? I think a lot of the surprise element and the awe moment comes when we transfer, which I will show you in a little while, when we transfer the painting onto the paper, and then it becomes permanent. So I think that's what gives the art the mystical, the magical, the sort of, there's even science behind it. How is this happening? There's a recent article published about the science behind the floating ink pigments.
Wow.
And how they transfer onto the sheet. And I wanted to mention, when I first saw this in Turkey, I was wondering, why is this not well, it is in the national curriculum in Turkish schools, but in other schools, why are we not teaching paper arts?
That's right.
It's very close to bookbinding. We're learning abstract art, we're learning to paint on oils, watercolors. How about water marbling? Why has it not been made part of the curriculum when so many children and teenagers absolutely love it? And I can go into the reasons with you on that in a little while. Yeah,
it definitely, how it affects our emotions. So when I was doing it as well, I noticed that, because I'm a super impatient person, I was trying to control the outcome, and I realized that you can't control the outcome. You just have to go with the emotions. You just have to let go. And it's basically just a dynamic between surrender and control. And that's when I understood the healing aspect of it. So how about for you? What was the healing for you in this journey?
Yes, it's powerful. If you are a sort of person that is super organized, you're a planner, you like things to go your own way, if you've been taught art in terms of proportions and value, and in terms of planning, I'm going to paint a sunset today. Well, if you're doing marbling, you might not paint a sunset that day. And it's sort of that coming in with an open heart, coming in with acceptance before you hit the tray. I have a lot of students that go, it's not working out for me. I want it that way. They come with an expectation, and I get it. We're human. We all have those expectations. But sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It could be a variety of factors. Could be the science behind it, the preparation, the water, the inks, all sorts of things. But it also has to do with our emotions. I sometimes feel when we're tapping the brush, it sort of vibrates through your hand. There's sort of a connection to it. And if we look back in history, it's not always documented, but the stories say, the legends say that it was done sort of in a magical way.
I believe that, yeah.
Divination. It was sort of what will come on the water, and it's not documented, which is sad, but you can feel that it is not something that we can plan. When we come to work with water, we have to understand that it's fluid, and it helps us become fluid as well.
So yeah, I mean, you just tapped into that it was maybe used for divination and stuff, and that nothing was documented. So what do we know about it? Where does it come from?
So I will go back a few centuries. I will go back from Turkey. I will reverse the steps to 12th century Japan. We have sumi nagashi. Sumi meaning ink, like sumi ink. Gashi, floating. So again, the history is a bit blurred, stories here and there, but we do know that sumi nagashi, we start to see it in the 12th century from the Japanese imperial family, on their decrees, on their correspondence, on poems. We see different images of sumi nagashi. Now, sumi nagashi is monochromatic, so it's black and white.
Okay.
It is done with a calligraphy brush, and it is dipped in sort of a meditative way as well. Where nowadays you can use fairy liquid as a dispersant, but you would dip one brush after the other and you would make concentric circles.
Right.
Once you have these, and this is done on regular water, it's very different from Ebru. So once you have these, you can blow on it, you can use a fan and move it around.
Wow.
Some people say that they used to move it around maybe with a cat whisker, which sounds like a bit cruel, and then used to print it on washi paper, on rice paper, with poems, and we have that documented. Now from there, it was always kept a secret. The secret sort of came out and traveled along the Silk Road, and I'm always mesmerized by the Silk Road because it not only carried people, it not only carried trade and intangible items, but the Silk Road carried art, it carried ideas, it carried inspiration. Now, we don't know exactly how it traveled, but there's sort of some documents of it into 15th century Turkey, the golden age of the Ottoman Empire. And now it was the Turks who added the beautiful colors that we see today onto Ebru. They also gave us the beautiful flowers. They gave us the rose, the tulips. I would say they are the masters of Ebru.
Turkish art is just stunning.
It's stunning. Yeah. And they have a very high, I would say, expectation for the quality of Ebru. It is very different to, because they actually paint a lot of images, like florals, and they're quite advanced in their techniques. So for anyone wanting to learn this art, I highly recommend learning it from a Turkish master, doing an apprenticeship. My teacher was Turkish, and I trained under him for nine full months. And I'm very appreciative to him for everything that I learned. And of course, I afterwards took that training myself I have every book printed out there on water marbling, books from the 18th, printed in the 19th century, till the present day. And of course, it's evolved in terms of now we can use acrylics, some people put dishwashing soap instead of oxgall, Turkish. People still use the traditional oxgall, which comes from the liver of the bull. Ingredients have changed, so Western marbling is of course more abstract, but I would say the mother is in Turkey, and then of course it evolved. So from Turkey, we have it traveling to 16th century to Europe.
Okay.
So Venice is another interesting place, with the trades in Venice.
Center of art hub of Venice.
Yes, fantastic. And if you go to Venice today, I was there last summer, it's incredible. You have fortified shops on the island.
Oh, wow.
For marbling, beautiful. And of course, you go to Firenze, you go to Florence. It's fantastic as well. You have a lot of marbling shops there, and they're marbling on leather.
Yeah.
They even have some machines that can do marbling. So the Italians have really developed their craft. Another great place to learn, sort of more of not for flowers, but yes, for other patterns. So once we hit Europe, I mean, we have every country introducing a different pattern. We have the Italian veins in Italy. We have the non-parallel in France. We have the Spanish waves in Spain,
Okay.
which is done by rocking, which is funny because they say that the person who did this came home a little bit tipsy. So came to work a bit tipsy and was moving the paper side to side, and it created this beautiful wave. Again, it's a tail.
Yeah.
We have the Dutch stormont, we have the chevron pattern, we have so many patterns that originated in Europe that they added to this sort of collection. They're wonderful. And again, when we go on the tray today, I'm super happy to demonstrate some of these patterns. So from there, we have marbling travel to the US colonies, which is really interesting because it is the Americans were the first ones to give marbling sort of a functional use.
Okay.
So there was a lot of forgery happening at the time, and they decided to marble the currency and dip it in different styles of paint, because if somebody were to erase the word 20, they would also erase the paint.
Okay.
So you would know that it had been forged. So to prevent forgery, they use this. So, and you can see some of these original prints actually in the Library of Congress in Washington, which is really, really interesting part of history. So then marbling, I mean, we have the invention of the printing press. And marbling sort of faded into obscurity. And it was only until recently, well, I would say with the revival of the arts and craft movement, that we have an appreciation for a handmade item and the value of taking pains. You know, we have people doing macrame, we have people doing crochet, knitting, you know, going back to doing these sort of arts, you know, to using our hands as our main tools to painting. So it's beautiful. And there's different ways of marbling. Different items that we can marble as well.
So not only paper and
No, I mean, it was always traditionally done on paper because it was done to decorate books, the end papers, and to cover books. And I don't know if you've watched Bridgerton. Absolutely loved it. Watched all the seasons. Waiting for the next one on Netflix. Not a commercial, but I had to pause a few times because super impressed with the prop and costume designers on the set, because they brought books that were probably from the 19th century, where they're reading them and you can see the different patterns. They were marbled books. So these were used at that time.
Mm-hmm. They did a lot of research in these TV shows, you know, like up to the last detail.
And
even the book printing.
Incredible. And there's a few episodes when different characters are looking through, and you can see the books, and I've had to freeze. I'm like, I'm going to snap a picture of that because it's wonderful, and I get to see a marbled book. And there's a few other shows that have used them when it's a historical fiction or a period drama.
Right.
We can see some of these books, and of course, if you know the patterns, if you've seen them, you immediately recognize them as well. So, I mean, present day marbling is a bit different in terms of, today we're going to do traditional Turkish marbling, but where we use a horsehair brush, because it doesn't really hold on to the paint, I would say, like an acrylic brush would do. And we tap in the Turkish way with our hands. We use a rose stem. Why? Because it's flexible.
Okay.
And if you do an apprenticeship and study this in Turkey, you make your own brushes.
Wow.
Which is beautiful. You can also buy them. Now, in Western marbling, I see a lot of fantastic Western marblers, and we're using a wand brush, which sort of has the same effect, because the wand brush is like a fan, almost. Yeah, like a fan, yeah. So they also tap as well. I mean, in Italy, one of my instructors for bookbinding, she was tapping using a stick. And I said to her, as much as I try, I cannot. I need to tap with my hand because I train this way. And she said, yes, I can tell you're much better when you tap with the hand. So sometimes what we train with sort of stays with us.
Right.
So paints, again, Turkish paints, they like to crush their own pigments and mix them with ox gall. So ox gall is the dispersant. So if a paint is not spreading, we add the ox gall. Ox gall comes from the liver of the bull, which could be quite smelly. And there's a lot of sensitivities in class. So maybe there's a lot of people that don't want to use animal products, or they're vegans. So they can always use synthetic ox gall. Or nowadays, many Western modelers would say we're going to use dishwashing soap because it will act as a dispersant, and you need sort of just a small drop of it to work. I don't like to add too much because then it spreads like crazy and it's harder to create a pattern, but it's all about experimenting.
Right.
And it doesn't always work.
It doesn't always work. But somehow everything turns out pretty. So it's okay. It doesn't always work how you expect it to, but you always get a good outcome somehow. Yeah.
Yes, you get an.
I've never seen an ugly.
Yes, so you wouldn't know what the expectation was unless you had something to compare it to.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you said this is how it's supposed to look. But if you did it on your own,
sometimes you have something in your mind that I'm thinking I want this, and then you're playing with it. Again, you can't control water, you can't control everything. It's literally a game of surrendering. And just letting the emotions flow. And
absolutely. It's about surrender, and it's about coming in with an open heart.
Yeah.
And thinking, okay, not saying it's for the, I'm going to try my best, but sort of let's see what comes today. And make the best of what comes out with that pattern.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I love it. So there is also an art form called neurographica.
Neurographics, yes.
Yeah. So you also do that, right?
Yes. So neurographics is different from marbling. We do it on paper, but it originated in 2014. It's quite recent by Russian psychologist Pavel Pisarev. And it's a wonderful sort of art therapy to engage with and do, because we are engaging our different levels of consciousness. Okay, so we have the subconscious, the consciousness, and then the superconscious. So when we are engaging, our neurons in our brain are making connections, okay? And he tells us to think of sort of a difficulty or a problem that we have, and then to start making our designs. And when we do that on paper, I'm not sure, have you ever
I have seen it. I've tried it. Yeah.
Did you have a good experience with it yourself? Did you feel when you were filling in
the colors and stuff?
And the gaps between the intersecting lines? So we have a sharp line. We want to make it sort of rounded, yes, in all the corners.
That's right, yeah.
And a lot of people have many intersecting lines, and we want to round those corners. And as we're rounding those corners, I feel it's quite meditative.
I feel like neurographic, if you look at the images at the end, it looks a bit like the Ebru somehow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of them.
There are, yes. And everyone's look a bit different. I've done a few workshops in Dubai where I explain the different processes in your brain that engage when we do neurographica. Now, there isn't much science yet, and I say yet because there's new publications on marbling coming up. Whenever I research peer-reviewed journals and publications, I see more and more on marbling. There's loads done on neurographics at the moment, which is fantastic. So it would be interesting to see the intersection between the two, if engaging in marbling has sort of similar effects to engaging in neurographics.
Right.
Yes, the end effect.
One is the neurons and the other one is the emotions with the water, the flow.
Yes, the flow and the connection.
Right,
and, the hard sort of intersections in neurographics, we are ourselves rounding them, and that's producing a change. We are making connections ourselves. When we are painting on water, we are also, in a way, we have different patterns, but we come into a meditative state because we're focused on the pattern. We go, wow, let me try this. So while we're doing that, we're not really thinking about our grocery list.
Right.
We're kind of engaged because we're, in a way, mesmerized.
Right.
And we're thinking perhaps of the next step that we will engage in.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. I've quite enjoyed this conversation with you.
It's lovely.
Lovely.
Let's start the painting.
Oh, yes, let's go.
Thank you so much, Daniela. That was really amazing. I really enjoyed the class and the lovely chat we had. And if anybody would like to take the class, how can they contact you? On Instagram?
Absolutely. They can message me on Instagram, and the pleasure's all mine today.
Thank you.
Really had a great time with you.
I'll put your contact in the description, so they'll be able to contact you. Okay. Definitely, I highly recommend you take a class because it's really mind-blowing and it's really fun and you feel really good afterwards. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. Thank you for joining the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it. The ancient art of water painting is mesmerizing and enchanting. I hope you get to try it out, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. If you like this kind of content, please do like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I hope to see you in the next podcast.